I go into the gym and now I have like a group of people that I train with. I have my brothers, I have my family, I have this community around me. It's like, that's what it's really all about.
This is episode number 49 with CrossFit Games champion Ben Smith. Welcome to Pursuing Health. I'm Julie Fouché, medical student and former CrossFit Games athlete. Here, I bring to you information and inspiration from experts and everyday individuals for how to use lifestyle to maximize health. Thank you so much for joining me. Now let's get started with this week's episode. Hello everyone and welcome back to Pursuing Health. I am just getting over a little cold, so please bear with me, but I'm very excited about this next episode. This is an episode I recorded with 2015 CrossFit Games champion Ben Smith while we were at the recent Reebok Athlete Summit in the Bahamas. This was a really fun event that happens every year, and I was glad to be able to participate again this year to catch up with the athletes, learn more about what Reebok is working on, and get some great training in. I was glad I had the opportunity to sit down with Ben and chat while we were there. A little bit of background about Ben before we get started. He was an avid baseball player growing up, and he was introduced to CrossFit during his senior year in high school in 2008. He's well known for training in his garage with his dad and his brothers, and as a self-instructed athlete, he has had 8 appearances at the CrossFit Games, competing every single year since 2009. He's one of the most successful CrossFit Games athletes of all time, finishing on the podium 4 times, and finally winning the title of Fittest Man on Earth in 2015. Ben also has a degree in mechanical engineering and is the founder and co-owner of his affiliate CrossFit Krypton, where he also serves as the lead programmer and coach. In this episode, we talk about Ben's background and how he found CrossFit, the evolution of the CrossFit Games and himself as a competitor, and what drives him to keep training and competing year after year. Before we get started, I have a few quick reminders. First, if you're enjoying the podcast, please head over to iTunes to subscribe and consider giving it a rating. I'm also always looking for inspiring stories to share, so if you or someone you know has used lifestyle to overcome a serious health challenge, please send your story to me at info@juliefouché.com and I'll select some to share here on future episodes. If you're interested in training with me, check out my program through Beyond the Whiteboard. This is the actual training that I do now 5 days per week, 1 hour per day, scheduled out for you minute by minute from warm up to cool down. We also have a Train on the Go program that's perfect for helping you get your workouts in on vacation or just during a busy week at home. For more info or to try the programs out yourself, visit beyondthewhiteboard.com/Julie Fouché. This week, I also have a huge favor to ask you. If you're listening to the podcast, I want to know more about you and what you're interested in hearing more of on the show. If you could take just a few minutes to fill out a short anonymous survey, I would be so grateful. Here's how you can do it. Head to juliefouché.com/podcast, and click on the survey link at the top of the post for this episode number 49. Once you complete the survey, you can follow the instructions to enter a drawing for a prize package from some of my sponsors, including a brand new pair of Reebok Nanos. Finally, please remember that although I'm nearing graduation from medical school, very much nearing graduation in a couple months, this podcast is meant to share the experiences of individuals and does not provide medical advice. So with that, let's get started here with episode number 49 of Pursuing Health featuring Ben Smith. Welcome to Pursuing Health. I'm here with Ben Smith, and as you can tell, we're in the Bahamas on this amazing trip with Reebok.
It's a pretty nice place to be.
It really is. It really is. How has your trip been so far?
Good. It's been awesome. So we've come here. This is the 3rd year here.
Mm-hmm.
I just enjoy it. I like being around everybody and being able to like talk about, whatever business, workouts, the games,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. Where CrossFit's going, that kind of stuff. It's always fun.
And it's so much of a different environment from when you normally are seeing these people. It's January, it's not a competitive environment, so it's a totally different experience, I think.
We're relaxed. We're not stressing about competition.
Right.
It's much more enjoyable.
Right. It's so interesting to see how people, I think, train, or you can see, who's really focused on their training, what people are doing, what they're eating. It's kind of an interesting environment because I think people are relaxed, but they're still kind of concerned. Obviously,
you feel like you need to be like
things.
training while you're here, right?
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I want to talk about all sorts of stuff, but I figured we could maybe start at the beginning and just talk about your background and what your experience was like growing up and your athletic experience before you even found CrossFit.
Okay. Yeah. So I I kind of grew up playing all different types of sports. I would like to try to, experience it. Like, we just kind of rotated with the season. So I played baseball mostly, so that was my favorite sport. I played basketball in the winter. Spring, and it was track.
Okay. What did you run in track?
It was middle school,
Okay.
so you kind of run normally shorter. I ran shorter distances.
Okay.
I did the long jump, stuff like
Oh,
that.
nice.
I really like the long jump.
That's fun.
And
I did a high jump in middle school, and then I went to pole vaulting in high school.
Oh, yeah?
And I
always
sprinted.
think pole vaulting would just be would be really hard.
It was fun. We kind of started a trend, so all the gymnasts from our high school gymnastics team would then go into pole vaulting in the spring. So it was kind of a fun transition, and it's something different.
Yeah, gymnastics probably a good background for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then baseball also after that, and then I played football a year or two, and
Wow.
and then just in high school I stayed with baseball, and then went to I kind of went to college to play baseball.
Okay.
I transferred after a year, and I wanted to still play when I transferred back home. But I had to redshirt. I had to sit out a year.
Okay.
So during that year off, I really picked up starting to do CrossFit because I wasn't playing baseball.
Oh, okay.
And that was the year that I competed in the 2009 CrossFit Regionals. I won the Regionals, went to the games, got crushed at the games. But I just loved it, and I wanted to go back. And that was like when I really knew that CrossFit was something that I was really interested in, I was good at, and I wanted to kind of keep pursuing. And then year after year, I went more towards CrossFit, less towards baseball. Okay. And just, going from there.
And did you so then you competed every year since 2009?
I did, yeah.
So you're coming up on...
Coming up on
this will be
9. This will be 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there's not many other men who have done 8, right? Or anyone else.
I don't know how many Jason's done.
Jason might be close, but... Yeah, that's incredible. And to see sort of the high level that you've been at the whole time. And there's Blair in the background. So that's interesting to know that you were still even transitioning out of baseball when you were starting CrossFit.
Yeah, and I mean, another thing, we talk about this all the time here with the guys, but a lot of kids that want to grow up and they want to just do CrossFit. And we always are trying to encourage them, or kids that we meet, like, hey, what sports do you play? Hey, what are you doing outside of CrossFit? Because I think that you need to have that background in sports before you even... you can do CrossFit, but I love how CrossFit translates over well to sports. So
true.
Just trying to get kids to stick with that. Like, I went through high school. I did CrossFit all through high school, or pretty much through high school for 2 years, last 2 years. And it really helped me with my baseball career. Like, I was a better athlete from it.
Yeah.
And then I did CrossFit. I competed in the CrossFit Games my 4 years of college, where I was also graduating with a mechanical engineering degree. So it's not impossible to go to school and compete in CrossFit.
Right.
I mean, sure, that was 4 years ago, but it's still not impossible. So.
Right. And and that's amazing. And that is incredible. And I felt it was cool because I didn't do another sport in college. But I missed it from high school, and it kind of became like you were a college athlete again, because you could still have that focus and training for your sport and balancing school and kind of all of the challenges that come along with that. But I really liked that about finding CrossFit in college as well.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So were you doing CrossFit and gymnastics at kind of a similar
No,
crossover
so
time?
I stopped gymnastics after high school, and then I had about a 2-year break my first 2 years of college before I found CrossFit. So I was mostly just doing regular gym stuff and running, and I did a couple of triathlons, but it was kind of my in-between phase. Okay. Yeah. So I missed having that team environment. I missed having a coach telling me what to do. So as soon as I found it, I was like, this is exactly what I need.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you're competing again, you're an athlete again. It's different, but individual is different because you're not on a team, but it's a lot like gymnastics, I would say. Yeah, for sure. I felt that way when I first walked into the CrossFit gym. I kind of felt at home, like this reminded me of being in gymnastics again. Right. All the chalk in the air. Right, exactly. The chalk, that's all
the
I remember
sweat,
from
it's all kind
Alex
of
gymnastics. It was just chalk everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think a lot of people know that about you, that you actually competed all 4 years while you were in college, and nonetheless doing engineering, which is no easy feat. No, it was hard. For first 2 years were okay, and then the second 2 years, really studying was really hard. It was constant. Yeah. It was more work than I'd ever put in at school before,
and it would be tough to go back and get any more.
Right.
I think.
How did you structure that? Like, what was your schedule like during that time?
I mean, you have a lot more time than you think, just because it's different. Like, you move away, you're away from your home, so you have all this time that you don't know what to do with. Where normally you're just going to school and you're sitting in school all day, and then you have baseball practice after school, or whatever. Now you have your class times kind of throughout the day, and it's your job to break that time up. So it's some people like to sleep, party at night and then sleep in till 12 or 1. It's like, I didn't do that. I didn't spend my time like that because I didn't want to feel like I was wasting my time. I was always trying to either get my schoolwork done or kind of get better at CrossFit or whatever I was doing. It's just managing your time well. So I think you have more time than you think, but you just have to learn how to budget your time and manage your time.
Right. Were you mostly working out in your garage during that time?
I actually worked out in my backyard.
Okay.
Like, I built 4x4s in the backyard, built some pull-up bars, hung some rings and ropes on a tree, and then I built a little platform out of some plywood and just worked out in the backyard.
That's
and at the school
amazing.
gym and everything.
Right.
The Globo
So it would
gym.
be kind of like class, study, workout,
Exactly.
study,
So it's just
workout.
back and forth. Like, I would study, and then when I got so tired of studying, I would get frustrated. I'd go work out.
Right.
And then I'd come back and I'd feel ready to go again.
It's amazing.
It's a good break. It really is a good break.
It's so true. I would do that when I was studying for my board exams, and it was just like all day studying. Sometimes I would just step outside and do like 100 burpees or like run, do like some running and air squats up and down the street, and I would feel so much better, and then I could focus so much more on studying.
It's an awesome break, and I think that's the way I could do it.
That's so true. And do you ever plan to do anything with your engineering degree, or still have you thought about it at all?
I'm liking, riding this wave while I can, and I was already like 2.5 years into to my degree, maybe 3 years in, before I decided that I really wanted to open a CrossFit gym. I was like, that's because the gym started growing and expanding. There's more of them. It's a more popular thing to do. Before that, it wasn't really a big thing. There weren't a lot of CrossFit gyms.
Right.
And I kind of had been coaching out of my parents' garage, and I coached a lot of like kids that were in high school and kids that were going into college, and wanting to be better athletes or whatever. We worked out at the house, and I coached them, and I also coached at there was a couple local gyms out there. I would coach occasionally there, and got some practice in that, and I really, really enjoyed it. Like, I liked what it had done for my friends, my family, people around me, and I wanted to be able to why not have my own gym, have a place where people can come train and try to make their lives better. It's just trying to create that positive environment and a good positive place for people to come. And that's halfway through college I decided I wanted to do that, but I wanted to just finish up my degree in case you want it in the future. You never know what the future holds.
Absolutely. So. And once you're that committed and you've gone that far, I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
And you see people do so many different things with engineering degrees now. Like, all my friends from college are doing such different things, but it's such a great background just to get you to know how to think, to know how to solve problems, to know how to work hard. It's it's the same things you're learning in the gym.
Budget your time in school. Yeah, it's the same thing you learn in CrossFit.
Right. Yeah. It's so true. So what has that been like now? How long has your gym been open?
We've been open 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
It's been going really well. We're trying to expand, so hopefully this month we'll be breaking ground on a new building, and
that's exciting.
We're building from the ground up. So we just need more space and some more room to grow. Yeah, it's a good problem. So I enjoy it, and I still try to coach as much as I can. I try to coach like at least a class a day, or 3 or 4 classes a week, something like that. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think when I was interviewing for residency, one of the other applicants had started CrossFit at your gym, and I have no idea what his name is now, but I remembered him being like, "Oh, I started at this gym with this guy who competed in the CrossFit Games," and I was like, "No way, who's that?" That's funny. So, and he had a great experience there. So it sounds like you have a really great community. Yeah, no, the people are pretty awesome. It feels, I don't know how many gyms feel like that, but it feels like it's really something special. So I feel like we have a pretty awesome community. Yeah, I think it is. I mean, it's good that you realize that, because I do think that it is special. It's not at every gym, and you have to work really hard to cultivate it. So that's really great. And then, people, I think a lot of people know about your brothers as well, and you guys just competed at Wadapalooza together. We did, yep. What has that been like, about taking this journey with your family as well? Yeah, I mean, like my dad was in the Navy. I have 2 other brothers, so it's us 3, my mom and my dad. We moved around a lot, so we were always, every couple years we'd get up and move, and
change schools, you're going to make new friends. It's like
Mm-hmm.
your family's always there for you. So your family's always that like support group that you have.
Right.
And they've always been there with everything. They've never like pushed us to do any one thing. It's like whatever we're interested in, they're there to back us. They're behind us, and they're supporting us 100%. And that's all you can ask for parents. You know, like that's
Right.
that's why I feel like I have the greatest parents ever. They just support you with whatever you have going on. And honestly, like I feel like my dad's always been into this kind of CrossFit stuff. And one of his things, like he's always wanted to own his own gym. It's like when I got into CrossFit and I started doing this, and he started with me at the same time. Like we tried to work out together and everything. And he loves having the gym, so like he helps me out with a ton with that. And
that's great.
You know, it's been awesome. But having my brothers compete, like they've always been really athletic, and we've always been super competitive. So it's always been me and Alec. We're always like we're 2 years apart, so we're always like super competitive with everything.
Right.
We always played opposite sports. I feel like, you know, Alec did gymnastics, and I focused more on baseball and a couple other sports. And Alec's always very naturally gifted at things. So you know, like when we always running used to be the thing, like sprinting. Right. I was faster than him at one point, and then at one point he started being faster than me. You know, and he's just always been. We've always been going back and forth, and then Dane's just there behind us, like just trying to keep up with us, like because he's 4 years younger than Alec. So he's the tough, like he's really tough because he's always trying to play catch up. And but now we're all kind of like close to the same age relatively. And it's really fun being able to compete with them, and we're really competitive again. I think it's like made us a lot closer. Like we've grown a lot closer to each other, and it's good. It's a good time.
Really
it's a lot of.
Do you guys mostly
train
together, or how often?
Yeah, I mean we normally try to train every morning together at least, and then Alec sometimes will come and go. Like Dane will work out with me again in the afternoon, and sometimes Alec works out with me in the afternoon, and but yeah, we try to train as much as we can together. We've all been getting better from it, I think, for sure.
That's awesome.
So it's good. Hopefully there's a lot more in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of competition, I want to talk a little bit about your experience with games. So obviously you started competing in 2009. What was that experience like, and then how has it evolved over the last several years?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed dramatically. Like, I mean, the games have changed dramatically. So it's always, you know, the field's gotten better. The workouts have gotten, like, the volume's gone way up. Like, Dave's just trying to take you through, you know, pretty much buds now. You know, so it's like it's just getting more and more volume-wise. The workouts are getting more intense, and the competition's getting tougher. So it's like it's coming down like to the split seconds, and you need to be on top of every transition. You need to be on top of every movement. You can't have any weaknesses at all. You know, it's very, very different as we've grown over the years, but it's been good. It's been, you know, it's always entertaining. It's always fun to watch. Like, but you know, my experience has been a positive one up to this point. So,
what motivates you to keep going back every year?
You know, ever since, that's a good question. I mean, ever since I started, I wanted to win the CrossFit Games. So like that was my goal, and that's what I wanted to do. And it's like every year you get close, you know, and you're like, I know I can do it. I just got to, you know, things just got to line up. I know I can do it. Took my time, had patience, you know, and then 2015 I won it, and it's like, okay, you know, it's awesome. Like that's, you know, I think it taught me more about myself, like just knowing that you stick with something, you work hard with something, like, and you take time and you have patience and you have faith, like things are going to work out. You know, feels like a blessing.
And that was amazing to see you win. I think everyone was so happy for you after watching you for so many years get so close. So
it's been a long
it was
time.
really cool to watch.
But yeah, I mean, that was my motivation up to that point. And then, you know, taking a step back after that, I came back and I thought I performed better, in my opinion, the next year than the year before. It's just the competition was playing better, you know. You know, Matt did really well, and the whole weekend. And I've started to kind of change my focus a little bit. Like, I really do enjoy competing. And before that, I don't know that I really did enjoy competing. I've kind of learned to kind of switch gears and try to be a little bit more positive with it and take it as just one big learning experience. Like that's what, you know, your life is anyway. You're like, you're just learning. You're putting yourself in situations that you might be a little bit uncomfortable, but you got to know that it's gonna, you know, make you a better person for it. And you know, this has provided positive, you know, situations for me and my family and, you know, my wife and my gym and my community. It's been just great overall, and you know, I just want to see how far I can take it. You know, I want to be the best CrossFitter ever. So I'm going to keep
keep going as long as you can.
Keep training, trying to be the best I can be, you know?
That's amazing. What was it like after winning, after working that hard for something and that was always your goal, and then once you reached it, what was that process like in like the months or the year after that?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it felt really weird, to be honest. It wasn't like I expected it to be, you know, because I think like once it happens, you've thought about it so many times,
right.
like you're in this illusion where it's already happened before. So then when it happens, it's like, I kind of expected that to happen. So it wasn't a surprise or a shock.
Right.
Like, you know, I just feel like it was going to happen sometime and finally did. It's just, it makes me happy. Like I feel like I've, I feel like I've learned a lot, and I feel like I've grown, and I feel like I've gotten better from it. And it wasn't like I can't say I did any crazy like celebrations or anything. Like I just had fun, and
right.
I just enjoyed it and tried to use it as motivation to try to get, come back and do it again next year. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you think about on a day-to-day basis that helps you stay motivated for training? Or, I mean, maybe you used to think about winning. Is it still the same thing, like winning again, or is it more about the experience and the enjoying the process now?
Yeah, I mean, everybody would love to go to the CrossFit Games and win. I go to the CrossFit Games and I expect myself to win. That's just the way it is. That's the way you have to be if you're a competitor. Like you did the same thing when you competed. You wanted to go out there. You didn't want to go out there and win. You have to expect yourself to go out there and win.
Right.
So like when you do, it's not a shock to you. But yeah, kind of lost my train of thought.
About what you think about on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and I think it's changed for sure, because I think I go into the gym and now I have like a group of people that I train with. I have my brothers, I have my family, I have this community around me. It's like that's what it's really all about.
That's awesome.
The CrossFit Games are the CrossFit Games. Like it's a cool test. Like you do it once a year. If I didn't compete in the CrossFit Games next year, it's not the end of the world. You know, like there's always the year after that. You know, you can always come back and do it, and you just got to enjoy it. You got to be a good person. You got to take care of people around you. You got to treat people well, and it's like if everybody did that, it'd be a pretty cool place. But
it would.
Yeah.
That's spoken
living in dream world over here.
Yeah, spoken like someone with a lot of experience. I think, especially people starting out, it's hard for them to have that perspective. It does seem like the end of the world,
Definitely.
So that's great.
That's what I think it's changed. It's like it's just changed my perspective on things. And if I had this perspective 5 years ago, I think I would have performed better. I think I would have gone out with no fear of failure.
Right.
That's a big thing. That's a thing that holds people back.
It's so
holds
true.
Back. Yeah.
It's so true. That's crazy. How has your training evolved? I mean, you've always been known for doing a lot of volume and training a lot, but what are some of the things you've learned over the years that help you to train smarter now?
Yes, I mean, technically I've gotten older, but I'm 18 to 26. I mean, I feel different. I feel older, but I'm still 26, so I don't really have too much of an excuse. But
you've been doing this for a while.
Been doing it for a while, so I've got some miles on me. But training's definitely evolved. I feel like I do a little bit less volume, try to focus a little bit more on the intensity, but it's still a lot of volume. I still work out a lot. I always try to change things up a little bit. You're always trying to stay ahead of the curve. Like I think you had a bigger advantage back in the day if you went. We were just talking about this. Like if you went to the CrossFit Games in 2009 or 2008, like you had a little bit more of an advantage going into the next year. Because you got to learn from the athletes that were there. You got to talk to people and that kind of stuff. And nowadays it's so like anybody can make it there now. So it's like
so competitive.
Your training's just got to be. You just have to be super focused when you're training, and you have to be focused on moving fast, because that's what's going to get you to the CrossFit Games. Like regionals, everything's so quick, everything's so exciting.
Right. It's so true. It's all so close.
Yeah, it's tough now. So I mean, training's always been tough, but it keeps evolving. It keeps getting tougher.
Absolutely. How about anything else that you've implemented that has made a big difference for you, like recovery or nutrition or anything that's helped you kind of throughout the year to stay on top?
Yeah, I mean, nutrition-wise, I don't know that I have any
secret
there to nutrition. I don't know how you do it. Do you follow any certain nutrition plan or anything?
When I was competing, I was definitely much more strict than I am now.
Yeah.
Like now I'll eat something if it's in a social situation that I probably wouldn't have before, but I always just try to eat really clean foods.
Yeah.
I never did a lot of measuring, which is something that I regret. Like I think that I should have at least tried it and seen if it made a difference. But mostly for me, it was just about the quality of the food I was eating.
And that's where I think I'm sitting too.
Yeah.
So I tried the zone, the 40 30 carb, protein, fat, and I tried that for like 6 months.
Okay.
I can't say that I noticed a difference, and then by the time I was done doing that, I had so much knowledge in my head of what I was eating that I didn't really need to track it every day. Like I kind of just ate well. And then, like you said, if you're in an environment and you have a chance to eat something or whatever, might as well. I mean, that's what you live once. So
It's
it's not a big deal. It's just you got to eat well, and you have to eat well a majority of the time.
Right.
It's okay.
And that 80-20 rule, I think, goes a long way.
Yeah.
That's good.
I can't think anything. I can't think anything that I've done special or extra. I don't know that there's any secret formula. You know how it is. Like you got to work hard at it.
Everyone thinks there's a secret.
Everybody thinks there's a secret formula.
Some sort of secret that we're not sharing.
Yeah. No.
Well,
work hard, and
that's maybe the next question I was just going to ask is if there's any advice that you have for people. You mentioned playing a lot of sports when you're growing up, but then younger next generation that wants to be here.
That's huge. I think that's a big thing. Like that's awesome that you have a passion for the sport and you can want to compete. But I think you don't understand how much playing other sports will benefit you in the future. Like I swam 1 year in high school. And now I'm so comfortable getting into the water and swimming, and I can compete at the CrossFit Games without really training too much swimming, So it really helps. Stuff like that.
Putting that time
Gymnastics.
In. It's so true.
Yeah.
I was so lucky that when I was in college that first year before I found CrossFit, one of my best friends was a swimmer in high school. So she would take me to the pool and we would swim. And at first I could swim 2 laps and I would be dying. But by the end of that, we would go a few times a week and I could swim a mile and be fine. And so then when it came up the first time we had to swim in the games and everyone was really surprised, it was no big deal.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
So,
those other sports and those other experiences in your life pay off and they help you at the games. So it's like the games are kind of just a test and you have to kind of enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, try to learn new things, try to play new sports, and then you put it all together, for the 1 year at the CrossFit Games or whatever.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Do you have sort of a daily routine or kind of a typical standard day when you're home?
Sure, yeah. Normally, I wake up, do my emails or whatever I need to do, work on my computer, and I have breakfast. 10 o'clock I'll normally train for my first session. I'll go to the gym. It's literally normally 30 minutes of sitting around complaining, stretching, and then we'll figure out what we want to do by the time maybe 10:45 or 11 o'clock rolls around, and we'll train till 12 or 1, and we train pretty hard for that. Once we get going, we're like a locomotive. Once we get rolling, we're rolling. Okay, so we're good to go. And then we have lunch. I head home and have lunch, and normally head right back to the gym. And I'll either train before I coach a class, or I'll coach a class and then I'll train, and then by the time that happens, like 4:30, and then I'll head home, and my wife's normally home by then. She's a teacher, so she's, she gets home like 5:30, maybe before that, and then we'll hang out for a little bit. And sometimes, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have a couple old high school friends that they wanna start getting in shape and work out a little bit.
Nice.
So they come over to my house, to the garage, and we work out normally at like 6 o'clock.
Oh, fun.
So that's always a fun. I always enjoy that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's
so
a normal.
cool.
That's a normal day, and then I'll have dinner after that, and hang out with my wife, and do whatever, and go to bed.
Sounds like a good day.
Yeah, it's a good day.
Awesome.
That's a typical day.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to finish with 3 questions I ask everyone on the podcast. So, first one is 3 things that you do on a regular basis that you think have the biggest positive impact on your health.
3 things. That's a tough question. I think I sleep enough. I think that's one positive thing.
Good.
Like
How much sleep do you usually get?
8 plus.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I get plenty of sleep.
Really
that's
good.
a big part of recovering. And
Absolutely.
if you're going to be a competitive athlete, you have to kind of take your time to recover. That kind of
important.
thing.
Yeah.
The second thing I try to do my best at this, like just maintain a positive attitude, and and treat everything that comes your way as something positive. It might not always be that way in the beginning, but you learn later on that that's a positive thing. So just having that mindset and that mentality really helps. It really helps keep, And then the third thing maybe is having a goal, or setting goals, or keeping something written down that you look at every day that keeps you focused, keeps me on track, keeps me, like when you wake up in the morning, you're completely exhausted. Like you see what you had written down, or you see what you
Right.
paste it on your wall or whatever it is.
And it
Like,
reminds
okay,
you.
yeah, it's a reminder.
That's awesome.
That's my goal. It refreshes you.
What do you have written
So,
down?
You just like quotes and stuff that you just kind of
Okay.
keep you going, keep you motivated. Stuff that like maybe in one moment really hit you, but then you look back at it a second time and you want to pull that same motivation again.
Right.
So it's like you always wake up in the morning, you don't have a lot of motivation sometimes.
Right.
So you see that and you're like, you get it back and you get it going quicker during the day than you would if you didn't have that. So
That's great. We've sometimes done that, like writing it on our bathroom mirror or something so that you see it in the morning.
writing it down always helps.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. What about one thing that you think would have a big impact, but you just have a hard time implementing it?
Diet, probably. I think I just don't have enough time to take to weigh and measure my food. I've tried it. I don't know.
Well, you
I
have.
feel
I mean,
like
the fact that you've done it for
I've
6
tried
months.
it. Yeah, I've tried it.
That means you've tried it. If it didn't make enough difference for you to keep going,
maybe
then,
it does, but I don't know that I noticed it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But at least I think that's the takeaway, is giving it a shot and then seeing, is it worth continuing or not.
Yeah.
So that's
I've
good.
always wanted to learn another language, and I
Mm.
don't ever spend the time to do that.
Did you take any language in high school? Or
Yeah, I
college?
did, but I just walked through
Passed,
it. Like
yeah.
I didn't concentrate hard on it
Right.
like I should have now. Looking back.
That's one thing I regret. I took German in high school, and
That's what I took too.
yeah, which was great. I mean, I loved it in high school. I had a great teacher. We even went on a trip to Germany with my class.
Oh wow.
And then in college, I did engineering, and you don't need to do a language.
Yeah.
Or I passed out of it or something, so I
Yeah.
didn't have to take it. And I just lost all of it. And then I met my husband, and his whole family is German.
Oh really?
And they speak German at home. And so I can usually understand what they're saying, but I haven't spoken it in probably almost 10 years. So
yeah.
I do regret that.
That's cool.
But last question is, what does a healthy life look like to you?
What does a healthy life look like to me? I think I've always been a believer, like everything in moderation.
Mhm.
So, I mean, training, like we train excessively, so that would not be a healthy
Maybe
lifestyle.
that's not
But
moderation.
like
But that's
that's
your
why
goal.
CrossFit's really cool. It's like you get a little bit. It's a little bit of working out. You can spend more time with your family. You
Right.
spend more time on your job or on other things, and just kind of having that balance in your life. I think
Right.
balance is key. Balance is huge. Everything in moderation, and just having that
Mhm.
balance all around in your life. With your family, with your friends, with
Mhm.
your working out, with your eating,
Mhm.
spiritually, everything. Just kind of having that balance would be a healthy life.
I love that.
Yeah.
Is there one piece of advice that you feel like you're constantly giving your members, or that you wish you could help them understand more?
Everybody's so different. You're always
Yeah.
giving different advice
all
for different people. So yeah, no, we always say just come and walk, just get in the door, and we'll take care of it. Like we've got great coaches, and it's a great environment. So
Mhm.
all you gotta do is show up, and eventually you'll find the energy you want to work out.
Right.
So
It's so true.
Yeah.
That's the best part about it.
hardest part's getting into the gym.
Right. Just walking in the door.
Yep.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for sitting
no
down
problem.
with me.
Thank you.
Yes, we'll be enjoying the rest of this lovely day. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for tuning into this episode. I had a great time sitting down with Ben, and it's so inspiring to see the way CrossFit has allowed him to craft his life around doing the things he loves and sharing that with his family. I know we'll all be rooting him on to be on that podium again this year in Madison. I also wanted to remind you about the anonymous survey I've put together to learn more about you and what you're interested in hearing more of on the show. If you could take a few minutes to fill it out, it would be immensely helpful to me and help me to continue to improve the podcast. Head right now to juliefoucher.com/podcast, where you can click on the survey link at the top of the post for this episode 49. Once you complete the survey, you can follow the instructions to enter a drawing for a prize package from some of my sponsors, including a brand new pair of Reebok Nanos. Thanks so much for your help with this. To make sure you never miss an episode and to receive exclusive content from me, head to my website, juliefoucher.com, where you can subscribe to my email list. Also, don't forget to share your stories. If you or someone you know has used lifestyle to overcome a serious health challenge, please email me at info@juliefoucher.com. I'll choose some of these inspiring stories to share here on the podcast in future episodes. If you like what you hear, don't forget to subscribe and consider giving the podcast a 5-star rating on iTunes. Also, don't forget you can train with me by visiting beyondthewhiteboard.com/juliefoucher. I always love hearing your feedback, so please leave comments under this post on my website, juliefoucher.com, and share your thoughts on social media with the hashtag JFHealth. Thank you again so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time on Pursuing Health.